All right, Andy, I think we're in. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you, Tina?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast today. We're excited to have you share about yourself and about your company. But before
Great.
we jump in today, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and the business you run?
Yes. So again, my name's Andy Koehn. I have a jewelry store in West Bend, Wisconsin, and we're a third generation owned company. My grandfather started it. Yeah, my father bought it from him. I bought it from my father, and I never thought this is what I'd be doing at this point in my life. But I'm glad I took the path I did. Of course, for any small business, there are days you wish you hadn't. But overall, looking back, it really has been a really wonderful creative outlet. And my wife also works here with me. And so we love what we do.
Beautiful, beautiful. And one of the questions we asked, when we started talking about you coming on for our podcast episode, are some of the things you're most proud of in your business and some of the things that are keeping you up at night. You want to start there?
Sure. I would say what we're most proud of is we're very much ourselves. We are not what I believe people think jewelry stores are about. We're far from stuffy. We're not sugary sweet. We are very, the word nowadays is authentic. And I think people like that word, but I don't know if many people live it.
Okay.
For example, like our style of dress here, like this is what I wear to work, right?
There you go.
So like we're into the, and I wear these skulls and that, and we're kind of an edgier store. And the reason the skull is there is because it's supposed to remind us that we don't have a whole lot of time on this earth. And that really resonates with me. And then it really ties into what I think we understand very well in our store. And there are other jewelers who do as well. But the reality of what we do is we're not selling diamonds and gold, and we are, right?
Right.
But it's the symbolism that really resonates with us, and the moments that are important to our clients. And that's probably our favorite thing about it is we get to show them a place that understands it's about them. The spotlight is on them. We have a saying here also. We are serious about what we do, but we're not serious while we do it.
Nice. Nice. So it sounds like when I heard what you're proud of, it's the culture you've created there and kind of the ethos of the building, not only for your business, but for your clients.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's so driven by them. We have to be ourselves. We have to be what our business is. That's our culture. And I love that it resonates with a whole group of people. And again, as I think any small business owner would say this, when someone discovers who you are and they love it, that's like putting on a great show.
Yeah.
So that's very, great for us among just a bunch of other things that I think are wonderful about having the business. I would say moving into like what keeps me up at night, what keeps my wife Jen up at night is how do we keep going? How do we get more people to discover who we are? Are we, it's great to have a nice time but as anyone in business knows, you also have to monetize, and you have to monetize in a way that can keep feeding these endeavors.
Right. Right. Are you looking to grow? Are you looking to sustain? Are you looking to survive? Like, where are you on that growth curve?
I would say right now we're in sustain mode. We do have this, another thing I say constantly, I don't understand why people buy anywhere else. I really don't. I literally, sometimes bugs me, and I get, maybe it's me, I don't know, but, and that's legit, but, so we're in sustain mode, but we also have a little bit of like, well, we also should be growing at the same time, just because that's how life is, right? You have to be growing. It's so cliche and trite, but you're either growing or you're dying, right? I don't know if it's that extreme, but I do feel like we should be growing.
Well, and it's interesting because growing doesn't have to mean the bottom line. Growing could be in the next wave of design or the next expression of community engagement. Or I think we get stuck thinking it's the money curve, and it's not, because bigger's not better on the money curve.
You're very right. You know that, and that's a great insight that I don't throw around enough.
Okay, so tell me how that landed on you.
It's really because we do that as far as like we want to be first in line. We're fairly experimental, and I mean, and in what I mean by that is maybe the technology that's available, the people, our retail partners, like our manufacturers, designers, even up down to our POS system. I very much love getting in early.
Okay.
Cost us a shit ton of money sometimes.
Right.
Made us some along the way too.
Right.
Better when you're making money at it, but that's part of the excitement of it. And I guess that would be why, after I've been doing this for 30 some years, maybe that's why I'm looking back and going, I like doing this.
Yeah.
Because probably I wasn't just about top line. That was always how I started.
Right.
You know?
But it's that lie, right? That growth means bigger, and the bigger this and the bigger this and the more of that. And I think that, especially in a family business, the legacy really is about life well lived, not just business well cashed, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But the relevance, I mean, so being relevant to your community, you said you grow creatively, you grow kind of tech enabled, you grow, anything else you'd say to others about how to, I'm going to use the word reinvent, but you didn't. So if it doesn't work, toss it, but reinvent yourself for relevance, for yourself personally, but also for your business? Like, what are your tricks? Anything to share?
For me personally, and I think it's same as my wife could say the same. You have to follow your excitement.
Yeah.
Follow the exciting part. I could do a little bit more thinking on that, I think.
Okay. Fair.
Because sometimes I followed it and it did not end up well.
You're like, how did I get here? What did I follow?
So I got to temper it a little bit with some wisdom. And, I think oftentimes there are people who we've heard this before too, right? Paralysis by analysis, right? And God, it sounds like I'm a cliche guy. I'm really not, maybe just on this podcast, but it does apply. You can ask questions, keep looking for the wrinkle that's going to sabotage you, and then you don't even act. And then where's the fun in that then too, right? Your excitement wanes every time you ask more and more questions. And then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Well, you are so miles away from from when you woke up. I do this with guys with engagement rings too, with people that are getting engaged. As far as our store goes, it's like, dude, you did not wake up and go, all right, I need a 2-carat GVS1 14-karat yellow. No, you said, I want to get married.
Right.
And that was like emotion. And that's what you are really doing here. You're buying this thing as a symbol of that, but boy, that excitement, don't get that snuffed out in the process of analyzing things. I mean, that's and I know you can edit this out, Tina. So if this is weird for me to say,
no,
I do want to say, like, that's where my book came from. So I wrote this book it's called The Inappropriate Guide to Buying an Engagement Ring. And it really came from from the number of people that if I'm out having a beer or whatever, they find out what I do. First thing they do is rip on the jewelry industry. And then the next thing they do is go, all right, here, tell me, all right, what's the deal? How do I get a good deal on a ring? And ultimately, my ultimate thing is, will you find someone who knows what they're doing? Her or him. We know this business, so let's join our powers and get something that's awesome, right? And so going back to the excitement thing, it's like my whole book is like, keep that alive. Here, you should know these things, but the very end, don't forget how you started, which was excited.
But so it's interesting. I want to pull this thread a little bit because, you're here as a creative who happens to own a business. You're not
Yeah,
here as a business owner that happens to do creative.
boy, that's for sure.
Fair, right?
Yeah, that's really fair.
So there's a tipping point in there, and I love what you said about, following your passion. But I also have this meme in my head from what the parents had said to your kid. You can follow your passion unless I pay for your last 8 weeks, and then you have to finish that before I pay for your next passion, right? Finish
Yes.
soccer practice,
I
whatever
got
that
5
thing
kids,
is.
so, I know this.
So is there a flag that goes up or that you and your wife have agreed on that said, this is actually week 5 and we're going to stick this out so that your creative type doesn't dominate the business guy? Or is there some business rigor you use to make decisions so that your creative guy knows he has free runway and freedom? Like, tell me where that tipping point is where you know to trust yourself and you get to wear those 2 hats that you're expected to wear.
Gosh, that is a phenomenal question. I've never thought of that before.
Okay.
Um,
Take a minute. I mean, we got nothing but time.
my first instincts is to say, when you find that excitement, you want to act on something, is then to go to the next part, which is this is going to require some discipline to follow through
Right.
to the vision that you might have.
Right.
So that it's not just going to be, when you're younger, it's like, oh, that didn't work, screw it,
Right.
moving on. And that's because possibly there's some lack of discipline there to see it through. There's an author, Stephen Pressfield. Have you ever read him? He writes a book called I'm gonna get the name wrong. I think it's like No One Will Read Your Shit or something like that.
Okay, great.
It's about writing.
Okay.
And I think he wrote, it was called I know you can edit this out. So I think it's called the War of Art. The
Beautiful.
War
Yep,
of
I've
Art
read that.
by
I've read
Stephen
that.
Pressfield.
Yep.
So he talks about how there's something called resistance to writers.
Mm-hmm.
And how you need to overcome resistance, because
Right.
if you don't get up every morning, sit down, do your ritual, write, you will never write this book. There'll be 1,000 things pulling at you to keep you from doing it, and you're including your own doubts.
Yep.
And so I would say there needs to be a reality check there, that to realize, big or small, whatever it is you want to start and follow through on, that discipline part needs to be part of the equation.
Okay.
Otherwise you're gone, because the excitement wanes I think that's what you're pointing out. Is that right?
Well, it's almost like, if I do the math right, it's like inspiration plus creativity divided by discipline equals like,
You just wrote a formula. Good job.
hey, look at that. It's not bad for a dyslexic, but it's
yeah, you're supposed to be the other way around.
yeah. So what else? You have this really interesting insight, because so much of Milwaukee lives in this multi-generational family system, right? Where it's expected in some ways for you to kind of follow, but also to transform and keep it relevant. What else would you add to other, second or third gen family members that want to stay alive and successful?
I would say you can tell I'm older now. Lessons from the past are not necessarily outdated. There are some, it's funny now that I'm here and my father's gone, but we worked together for a while. And he was a super colorful guy. Yeah, it's super inappropriate. I mean, this guy can't fast right now, but boy, the things he said, repetitive, that were like, you just roll your eyes and like, oh my God, here he goes again. Those lessons really can stick with you, especially so like for our store. One of the first things he said, and this is, again, maybe this is just cliche as can be, but he had always told us to never ever judge someone based on the car they drive, ever.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, and particularly in our part of the country,
right.
These people coming off, I have a friend who calls himself a ditch digger, right? But
Yeah.
you know, and he lays gas lines and so
Yeah.
on. But my dad used to be like, because I was young and
Mhm.
just come out of school, and I was like, oh yeah, we got to get the freaking Lexus and Mercedes crowd. And he's like, you know, there are so many more Chevys around here. And by the way, just because someone's driving a Chevy, he's like, that's the very guy that probably has $1 million sitting in his
Well,
trunk.
and values what we can do, right? I mean, because there's
Yeah.
something about a value. So the cliches are cliches for a reason. They resonate, right? It's
Yeah.
I saw a shirt the other day that said stereotypes save so much time. And I'm like, well, that I was like, well, I don't know if that's politically
That's
correct,
awesome.
but it's yet awesome. It's but I think as we get older, we have more fun messing with it. But what I'm really hearing underneath is check your ego. Just because it came from the past generation doesn't mean it's not relevant, important, and they knew their shit too.
Yeah, isn't it kind of like taking those baseline things that you feel in your gut, and you can adapt them to the current environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that was something I didn't appreciate at the time, but I certainly appreciate it now. Maybe because I'm the age of my dad when he used to say those things to me.
Right. It does. The humility does grow on you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a big tennis player, and I've gotten very good at strategic playing. I'm not going to beat a 30-year-old at the net, but I can outsmart them some days.
I mean, yeah, I used to play a lot of tennis. My knee no longer will allow me to do it. But yeah, I was the opposite. I was that running guy that
Right.
no finesse whatsoever.
But as you get older, it's like
And
you're not going to beat him on speed. You're going to beat him on finesse.
Yeah, I got beat by all those guys who would be like clink right over the net. You're like, ah.
So it applies to business. Tennis strategy applies to business. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Something else you said though, that I want to come back to, and I'm curious, my background's in organizational strategy and organizational design, and in our world, everything means something. So, and you said something earlier about symbolism and the symbolism of the ring or the jewelry and the moments that matter. And I'm curious, if you think about the culture you've built, what the biggest symbols are in your store or in your family or in your business that people can trust and rely on what you said you are, because it's part of your fiber.
Oh my goodness. How do I answer that? So like, it's not what I sell. You're talking about their eyes on what we do.
Right. But I mean, sometimes it's the sign above the register in the old diner that says, if you're a jerk, you'll spit in your coffee. Like sometimes it's, that's the symbolism that says exactly who they are. Right. So sometimes it's in, like you said, what you're wearing matters. It's like, you take us, we're informal, we're going to meet you on it, or sometimes it's in the store or how you present yourself in public. But how do I know what you stand for? And is it sprinkled in your culture, or as a customer, how do I know?
There's many. I would say one of the things that I don't know where this was ever ingrained in me, but really our atmosphere down there, while not flawless and not as posh as some stores, it's ridiculously clean and organized.
Got it. That's a great example. Great example. Yeah. Impeccable, right, is the word.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet we're not afraid to admit when we haven't quite had the time to put everything back in its place.
Yeah.
And we won't pretend it doesn't matter. We'll very much converse with our clients and go, so sorry, we just had this rush. I mean, normally, but and so that's part of it. I would say our demeanor with our clients, we're very consultative. We are, so that is also, I would say that's a signal to people when they come in. Again, we're not for everyone. Some people want that line. They want that formal line. And I think we read the room very well. We can give that formal line when they need it. But overall, when you come in, we're very conversational, warm, funny. We think we're funny.
Casual.
And that's a sure sign you're not funny if you tell people you're funny.
I don't know. Sometimes it means we're just funny.
Yeah.
Because I think that our culture, as you're talking about who you are and how you got here, I think we don't realize that our culture shows up. And like you said, like cleanliness for me reads as impeccable,
Mhm.
right? Your dress and even the jewelry you're wearing. Like I'm noticing the stack on your bracelets, right? Like you're
Mhm.
not wearing a Cartier band, right?
Right.
That's not who you are and what you're selling,
Right.
you know? And
Exactly.
right. And in my world, like I've never wanted to work. I lived in Seattle for years, like for Nordstrom. It's like I'm not going to work in a world where I need to wear the thing in order to fit into the world,
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I appreciate you speaking to that for others around be careful who you show up as. Your leadership is everywhere. Your culture's everywhere. It's in all the symbolism.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And the outside of our like I maintain we have probably one of the coolest looking buildings in Washington County. It's very different. It was built at a time when it wasn't meant to be a retail space. But we've adapted to that pretty well.
Yep.
And our branding has the rock and roll hand.
That's great.
Our tagline is rock your world. And I love when people walk in and are just surprised that it's like they stepped into a different town. Like they're just,
Spectacular.
yeah, they're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this when I walked in. And they probably should, looking at the business from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
but it's okay once they're in, and when we're successful and we oh my God, I'm going to say the word jive. What is that from, like 1967?
Everything old is new again. Everything old is new again.
Keep on trucking. So as long as when that happens, and we know that we've found someone who we get and they get us, then that's the beginning of what we hope is a really great relationship.
Perfect. Perfect. So Andy, we've only got a couple more minutes, and most of our observers, readers, I guess, I don't know what we call them, podcast participant member community.
Fan base. It's a
fan base. Yeah, there we go. Are exactly you. They're leading it, losing sleep over it, giving it everything. If you could give me the don't forgets, hey, don't forget as you're taking this on or as you're being your best self. Anything else you'd add today? What do you want people to say to you to remind you, I guess, is really a better question.
I would say don't forget to be honest, consistent, humble.
Okay.
Admit, one of the things I think is an amazing thing, and I don't know if this necessarily fits, but I know people have a hard time apologizing really with their hearts, and really saying I screwed up. And then the other part is to accept that apology. So I don't know what that really has to do with business, but I think it's
everything.
I think it has to do with my thing about being, a little humility is good. And don't forget, we only have a little bit of time, and we don't want to burn our days. I mean, at the end of the day, what does it really boil down to, right? Everybody wants to enjoy what they're doing, not just professionally. Like that would be the goal, I think, to enjoy what you're doing professionally, but then also have that impact your life, real life, right? Not the one here, but our real life, the one that we know is in our belly. I think it's important that we understand that there's very few emergencies in this world, and we're lucky to have a business where it's pretty much a happy time for people.
Cool.
And so we're very fortunate that way.
Here's a summary of what I've heard you say, right? So respect the work you're doing, stay relevant, keep learning, and for God's sakes, have a good time.
For
Is that
sure.
fair?
Yeah, it is. You know what?
Beautiful.
You can be serious about what you do. You just also don't have to be serious while you're doing it.
Perfect. I so appreciate you coming on today. I
Yeah,
really do.
thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm your favorite guest so far, right?
By far. By far.
Good. This is my ego. All right.
I'm gonna hit stop. Here we go.